What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for everything Chicago Bulls related. We got a game to review and to talk about today. It wasn't ugly, but the Bulls got it done. We have our longest winning streak in over a decade, and it's a good time to feel to be a Bulls fan, right? And even though some of these wins haven't been as pretty as we would have liked them to be, overall the team is winning games, and we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about DeMar DeRozan being named as the player of the week, Alex Caruso and Zach LaVine representing the Bulls in the NBA's Players Association, and how the NBA rescheduled these games for the Chicago Bulls. We'll talk about all that, probably some more, right after this. Okay, so our Chicago Bulls faced Orlando Magic last night. They won a close one. This game was very ugly and very sloppy. Now, we all know the reasons why it could have been. The Bulls have played 8 games in like 9 days or something like that, or 6 games in 8 days or something like that. It's been a lot of games in a condensed amount of time. And so the Bulls go into a 3-day break right before they play the Washington Wizards again Friday. And over that course, they get some rest. They get to stay at home in their own beds, practice in their own facilities and things like that. And hopefully that tightens up some of the sloppiness we've seen. It also was the first game back for Lonzo Ball after his extended break due to COVID and health and safety protocols. And, for the most part, yeah, his shot wasn't falling, but Lonzo, as he always does, he did some things in this game that just, it's Lonzo Ball-like things. Like, yeah, the stat sheet may have not been stuffed as far as the scoring on that, but Lonzo always does his thing in other ways. And we got to see a lot of Lonzo's ball contribution outside of scoring in this game, and it was needed in a game that was ugly, in a game that you would hope to see against different competition, against lesser competition, that the Bulls have a little bit of a stronger game. The sloppiness in this game really hurt them, especially early on. Some of the turnovers, things like that. But overall, our team pulled it out. Again, not a great night shooting from Zach LaVine. He was 8 for 19. Now, he did get 27 points. He had the lowest plus minus of any player on the team at -10, though. So that just says how the type of game was for him last night. DeMar DeRozan had 29 points. He had a plus minus of +14. He was 11 for 24 from the field, 7 for 13 from the free throw line. And then the good thing about this, and this is where the leadership steps in at, DeMar DeRozan in the arena getting shots up after the game was over, because this type of shooting night from the free throw line is very, very rare from DeMar DeRozan. Now, he did miss his first 2 free throws in the last game as well, but at this point, it is what it is. This team is tired. This team has dealt with a lot. Vooch with another big contribution on the boards with 17 points, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers from Vooch, and 13 points. Again, not the best shooting night. That's going to be the theme for this team overall, but again, another player who did a lot of the things outside of just scoring that did help contribute to our win. Coby White, who has been our most consistent player in probably the last 5 games almost, with 17 points off the bench, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, only 1 turnover, and only 1 foul from Coby White in a game where we continue to see the development of Coby White as a scorer and as a defender as well, somebody who's now not afraid to put the ball on the floor, get to the middle, and finish around the rim as well. Coby White is starting to display a lot of the things that we wanted to see from him. And, I keep saying now that he's back on the bench, especially once Alex Caruso comes back, we're going to be seeing the best version of Coby. And for anyone who keeps going on this narrative of Coby White has to be the one that traded him and Ayo are showing that, they can play very well together. But with Kobe's improved passing, improved defense, yes, he's not the defender Ayo is. We all know that. You wouldn't say that at all. But he's the much better scorer. And depending on the matchups, there's yes, one player is going to get more minutes than the other depending on what's going on. Coby White with 35 minutes to Ayo's 19 minutes today. But again, keep in mind, both these players are 21 years old. Very young, so much more progression that can come from them. And we're seeing that from Coby White. The things that were holes in Coby White's game before aren't necessarily as big as holes anymore. Yes, he's still not the greatest one-on-one defender, but we're seeing Coby White evolve as a defender before our eyes. And at 21 years old, there's a lot to be said with that. And so I understand the people who have this narrative that almost anything Coby does, whether it's bad or good, is proof that he needs to be traded. We got to move off that. Coby White is probably going to be on this team come the trade deadline, especially for what the Bulls need at a power forward. You don't trade a player who can get you points like this and production like this off the bench, especially when he's shooting efficiently. it's good to see Kobe White giving us good minutes like this. Alfonso McKinney, we got to see him 7 minutes today. And I know a lot of people, in my opinion, they remember that Rockets game. And I think sometimes we're starting to forget the games that he played before the Rockets game in which he did not shoot very efficiently. The things that Alfonso McKinney does and the reasons why, even outside of just the scoring, right? The scoring is not why the Bulls kept him here. Yes, he has that potential to get hot way more than Alize Johnson, but it's also that Alfonso McKinney can be played, right? He can understand the defensive scheme, whereas Alize Johnson couldn't. He understands where to be on offense. It's not just about Alize gave some great energy, but he was missing those other aspects. And so Alfonso McKinney still a non-guaranteed deal if anything does need to happen. But being said, the scoring isn't going to always be where for people who thought that like maybe Alfonso McKinney was going to be that consistent scoring punch off the bench, it may not be there. Now we'll continue to see and how it develops and everything like that. But just keep that in mind. Troy Brown Jr., again, giving us some good things outside of scoring as well, which I said is probably going to be the theme for me talking about this game. 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block from Troy Brown Jr., giving us some quality minutes. And we're seeing Troy Brown also come out of a slump he was earlier in the season. That's one of the better things about this break that the Bulls, well, not the break that the Bulls had, but the way that the Bulls have had to play people that they wasn't necessarily relying on before with people being out with injury and COVID, is that we're now seeing players kind of understand their role and make the best of their minutes and learn how to do that because they know these minutes may not be there for them if they're not playing well once everybody is fully back and healthy. So overall, this game, looking at what the Orlando Magic did, Gary Harris, again, 33 minutes, 19 points from him. Franz Wagner, who was looking like a very good pickup by the Orlando Magic and a very good piece for them moving into the future with 22 points. Wendell Carter Jr., 8 for 15. He had 21 points. He was 1 for 4 from the three-point line. And he also had 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. Again, very, very good game. They didn't really kill us down in the middle as much as one would have expected. They did definitely they benefited off the Bulls' sloppiness. They always felt like, especially going to the half, that the Bulls were probably going to blow the lead up and really separate themselves from the Magic. It didn't happen. We had another down third quarter, and then we only won the fourth quarter by 1 point. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, yes, there are a lot of things that we can point out to that the Bulls need to work on. They do have a long break. They've had a long stretch of games. They're just getting their point guard back in Lonzo Ball. But overall, they got the win, and that's what matters. Good teams, great teams find a way to win. And yes, we're going to lose to teams that we shouldn't lose to at some point in the season. But the Bulls are riding out this 8-game winning streak, playing very well. Finishing games very well, right? Even though some of our play hasn't been up to the energy that we expect from this team. But overall, as we keep finding a way to win, it feels good. And that's what you want to see. These tough wins are going to help build character. And we're also seeing the back of the bench people really start finding ways to contribute to this team. We definitely need more bench scoring. But like I said, Kobe White now scoring a lot more efficiently, really getting in this groove is really going to help with that. Zach and Demar, they were solid. Like I said, Zach didn't necessarily shoot the ball the efficiency that we expect to see from him. Demar missing free throws, which there's a lot of missed free throws on this team last night. That really would have changed the outlook of the game as well. Down the stretch, had those free throws went down, but Demar again with 29 points. And it was what it was. Derrick Jones Jr. gave us some quality minutes as well. But going into the break, coming into the next game against Washington, hopefully the rest and just some game planning, tighten some things up. We see much improved style to play when we face the Washington Wizards. Let's get into the next topic today. So the NBA has rescheduled the postponed games, and they took some rejiggering of the schedule. And I wanted to talk about some key things here, right? The first thing that stood out to me is that we have a game against the Dallas Mavericks on Sunday, and then we had a break before we faced the Nets. But now they've moved the Detroit Pistons game. It got moved from its originally scheduled date of December 14th to January 11th, which now makes the Nets game a back-to-back. That means we play that game the day before we play the Nets. Again, you see how this team kind of does with legs thing. Now, again, this may not be an issue because it's still not as many games in that condensed schedule, but it does make things a little bit more interesting. The game against the Thunder, Chicago at OKC, originally was supposed to be on January 26th. That got moved up now into January 24th, which now makes that game a back-to-back after our next game against the Magic. So again, Raptors game against the Raptors in Chicago, which originally was scheduled for December 22nd, has now been moved to January 26th. So again, condensing that schedule, making us play more games in a condensed amount of time. And then the game with Chicago in Toronto, which originally was scheduled for December 16th, has been moved to February 3rd. And the Chicago at Atlanta was moved from its original date of January 24th to March 3rd. So that's what the rescheduling, rejiggering of the schedule means. The NBA moved on this rescheduling quicker than I would have expected. For anyone who has conspiracy theories about the NBA and the Bulls, and I understand, right? Let me say, I understand that rescheduling NBA games, considering the movement and travel and all that, I'm sure is very difficult. Ref schedules, everything like that. But some of the games that they've now made back-to-backs, considering the condensed schedule that the Bulls have already faced and long road stretches as well, it does make me wonder what is going on there a little bit, right? But I understand the NBA had to do the best thing but for those people who have conspiracy theories, right? This definitely is going to keep that going. But let me know what you guys think about that down below. Also, let me know what you think about the Bulls game against the Magic last night. Forgot to ask about that. The next topic, the Chicago Bulls players have voted Alex Caruso to represent the team for the National Basketball Players Association. Zach LaVine was voted as the alternate in case Alex Caruso can't go. But yeah, great to see Alex Caruso continue, and this shows what his teammates believe in him, right? It shows that the faith that they have in him, and it's good to see. Yes, this isn't nothing major or anything like that. Nobody will say that like it's going to determine anything with outlook of the season, but I did want to mention it because, hey, Alex Caruso deserves it, and he's a Chicago player. Like, we love Alex Caruso, so it's good to see him get some recognition in this players' vote for them to represent the team in the Players Association. Last topic for today, DeMar DeRozan was named as the Player of the Week, and I would hope that he's going to be named as the Player of the Month here shortly. But after the week DeMar DeRozan had, how can you doubt it? He definitely deserved to be the Player of the Week, especially with those buzzer beaters. DeMar DeRozan has been playing his ass off in the Chicago Bulls uniform. And as you guys saw the video from Petty Roosevelt yesterday, we defend our own. We defend our guys. And it's good to see that DeMar is getting the recognition that he so deserves after so many people slept on his signing. So many people tried to say that he was the worst offseason signing and how is he going to fit and all those questions. People who still want to throw up the Toronto series and the losses against the Cavs. It's good to see DeMar get every recognition that he deserves. His week, by the way, 27.8 points, so basically 28 points per game, 5 rebounds, 7.3 assists on an undefeated week for the Chicago Bulls. Come on, man. That's definitely deserving of the Player of the Week. Now, Ja Morant also got Player of the Week with 34.7 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists a game, also leading the Memphis Grizzlies to an undefeated week at 3-0. But overall, DeMar getting the recognition he deserves. Shout out to DeMar for that. That's it. As we have this extended break, I'll still be dropping content. I'm not going to go away. We actually probably will have a live hangout. I may do it tonight, so be on the lookout for that. If you guys are looking at just kind of to talk about some of the things with the channel, with the team as a whole. Also, I do need to do my giveaway for us hitting 3,000 subscribers. So be on the lookout for all that. I'll either do it today or tomorrow late. So be on the lookout for one of those 2 days for me to announce live. Just for the time aspect of it, I may just wait to do it tomorrow. But once I solidify a date, I'll post it. Look on the community tab for it all. But that's it for me today. Quick update. If anything drops, any news drops over the course of the day, you guys know I'll be one of the first to drop a video for you because this is Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. But with that being said, make sure you're following the podcast at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a voicemail or a text, because tomorrow's episode will mainly be a mailback episode, look for you can leave that at 773-270-2799. Like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.